Hello and happy Tuesday, June 3rd. I want to welcome all of you from around the world to today's Profit Plan webinar. I am super excited to share with you what I've put together today called Frame to Influence. And I'm going to encourage that everyone participate as much as you can to get the most out of this. We're going to have some fun. I've prepared some information for you that with the intention that this is going to really help you start crushing your goals. We're at the beginning of June. We're going to be going into the second half of the year. And if you really get what I came here to give to you today, and you're in a leadership position or in a sales role and you're looking to get your pipeline moving and with some more of a higher velocity, this is going to be, you're in the right place. This is really going to help you out. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Rhonda Petit. I am a best-selling author, professional speaker, and CEO of 3x5 Coaching, where we help CEOs and business executives and leaders master the art of transitions, because the transitions today are coming faster and faster than ever before. And while also helping them to attract, inspire, and retain the top best talent in the world. And we believe that simplicity creates mastery, and that leading with conviction that is grounded in purpose and aligned with values and rooted in universal law, that conviction really is going to help businesses to thrive and sustain their profitability long term. So the objective of these profit plan webinars every Tuesday is my gift to the community to really help and inspire this progressive thinking about how we can create impact together in our communities, in our marketplace, and leave a legacy that we're proud of. So with that, I'm going to open it up. It looks like we have people today coming from all over the United States. We have some guests from Europe. We have some from Africa and India all here today. So excited to have you join us. If you're watching this after the live event, you can participate as well, because there will be some prizes and things for those who participate. But I encourage you to grab, if you got your email, you got a workbook that I gave you so that you can take some notes, because today you're going to want to take some notes and really have some fun and ask yourself some questions that I think are really going to light you up by the end of today. So let's get started and get rolling here. So just so you know, if you're in the right place, we are, this webinar is entitled Framed to Influence, the persuasion path that to creating inspired decisions for transformation. So if you're a leader or in sales, this is going to really talk about the secret sauce of inspired decisions and how that can really lead people towards transformation. What my intention is today is that I want to give you 3 gifts. The first one is to make sure that everyone here today is going to leave with a crystal clear distinction about what the difference is between decision and choice. And if you get that, you're going to really start to understand how you can apply it and help your customers stop making choices and start making decisions for their transformation. Because I know most of you that got into this science field that we're in had got in because you wanted to change the world and make a difference in the human condition. And if you're going to do that, we're going to cause transformation together, we're going to need to help lead people to make inspired decisions for their transformation based upon what they want to do and why they want to do it. The second thing that I'm going to share is I hear a lot of frustration from people in the field that, you know, our sales teams are hitting maybe they're not following through as much as you'd hope, and that sometimes customers are just giving you the ghost. We're going to talk about why that is, and you're going to understand how you can reverse that trend. And then the third thing that I want to leave you with is to empower you to start using this invisible force that causes the frame to influence and use it for you instead of having it being used against you. So with that, the first thing that I want to talk about is the anatomy of the decision itself. Now, anybody out there in the audience watching this live, what do you think makes a decision? What are the criteria that you use to know whether you got a customer to decide? Anyone know? See the chat stuff to see what's going on out there. Looking to see if I see some answers. Okay, decisions. Sometimes people say choice. What else? I see a couple comments about commitment. So we're close. So let's look at the difference, because there's a distinction between choices and decisions. And if you really get this, like I said, and you understand the importance of it in terms of leading and influencing your people, getting buy-in, or if you're in sales and you're talking to clients and you really want to help them, lead them and guide them to their transformation, this is going to be really important. So here's the difference. Choices are a matter of preference. And everything, whether you're making a choice or a decision, let's for the sake of today, call it a trust ladder. And so let's look at what happens in the distinction between a choice and a decision. A decision is a covenant. It's a committed decision. It's an agreement that one makes to go in a specific direction and turn away from all other paths. So there's four components that that must be present to have a true committed decision. And if you know these four components, when you're selling, you can know what questions you're going to want to ask, make sure you ask, so that you can tell if someone's ready to make a committed decision or not. And these decisions on the trust ladder are going to be either shaky ground or they're going to be solid. And what you'll find is that the more the people that make decisions and truly decide on a direction to go forward and trust themselves, have a very strong trust ladder. And as they trust themselves, they have something that builds inside. Anybody know what it is? It's something that people can perceive. They make these decisions with integrity. They're aligned with purpose and aligned with their values. And when that trust ladder is solid, you're leaning on the right wall. When you make choices or you make empty promises, you're not committing to a specific direction, and you're not necessarily serious about it. So if it's convenient, you'll do it, or if it's a preference, you'll do it. So the difference between a choice and an empty promise, choices are things that people make out of preference, like chocolate or vanilla ice cream today. Oh, I feel like chocolate. So that's a choice. A empty promise is someone asks you to do something and you say, oh, let me think about that, or yeah, I'll go, and then you forget about it, or you just don't go. And the thing about the ladder is, if the ladder is not solid, the trust is not solid. And so the difference really is that a true committed decision has four characteristics. One is there will be a sacrifice, a trade of something of a lower nature for a higher nature. So something's going to transfer. It has to have trust. Decisions are made by motives. There's a reason why they want to take that path. And the decision is made with um, with action. So if you don't see somebody taking action, and like your funnel, if your funnel's clogged up and nobody's taking action, it's because somebody didn't make a committed decision. And so when we're in sales, we have to be thinking about triggering emotions that are going to cause somebody to take action. And in order to do that and understand that, we have to understand what the motive is, understand there is going to be a sacrifice. So that person's going to have to let go of one thing to get another thing. Like if I took my hand out and I wanted to receive stuff and there was things in it, I would have to take something out to have it open to receive the transformation, if you will. So those are the four things. And so the problem that we face often is worry that our customers may not be making true decisions, or we may not be making true decisions. Now, there is two types of decisions that people make. And I call one an inspired decision. This is something that gives you fulfillment. It's something when you make the decision, you know it's aligned with your purpose and your values, and you're feeling a sense of fulfillment. So for those of you who are here and really kind of, maybe things are going fairly successful, but you're lacking that fulfillment, you may be making some decisions in what I call the fog. An inspired decision gives you fulfillment because the decision allows you to create, it allows you to connect, and it allows you to contribute in a way that makes you feel proud. And so when you have those three things, you're coming from a state of inspiration and you're gaining a lot of fulfillment in return. And those are the best decisions that I find that we want to make, because people who make those inspired decisions become people of honor. Because they keep their word and that trust ladder is solid and it's leaning up against the right wall. But some people will make, in some cases, decisions in the fog. I've been guilty of that. I know the first time that, when my first marriage, I kind of made decisions in the fog, right? So the fog, what is the fog? The fog is fear, obligation, and guilt. Now, when you make a decision in fear, obligation, and guilt, what's wrong with that? What's missing there is the fulfillment. Because what you do is you make a decision to that you want to please, someone else, and so you think you're getting the connection because you're doing something for others. But the doing of it is not really something that you want to do. It's like you're the sideshow in somebody else's movie, and you're doing things more out of obligation than true decision, because you're inspired to do it. And then guilt is like the worst, out of the feelings. We're all in science. So feelings that you have, emotions that we emit, because we all are vibrating frequencies, we're all balls of energy. The feeling of guilt is like the lowest out of all the feelings that they measured. And when people said that they felt guilty, what they found is their perspiration and the acid was extremely high. So imagine if you're making decisions out of guilt over time, it's like acid that's affecting you, and it's tearing you down. And a lot of those decisions that we make in the fog often are in a state of stress. So, we're stressed out about something, we're not maybe thinking clearly, and, those decisions don't always turn out well because it's missing the things that are in the inspired decision, because the motive really isn't yours. You're not necessarily, making that choice of the direction for your purpose. It's for someone else's purpose. And when we make decisions out of obligation, it doesn't feel as good. It doesn't release the kind of energy that it does when we make an inspired decision. So the point here that we want to walk away with is that choices are different than decisions. And then there's two types of decisions you could be making. And my recommendation is that we never make a decision in the fog. So if you're fearing something, you're doing something out of obligation or guilt, you're making a decision in the fog, and that's not a good idea. It'd be better to let yourself, not make a decision if you're in the fog and get out of the fog, because it's like making a decision in the dark and you can take yourself down the wrong roads and then end up not trusting yourself to make decisions moving forward. Now, your customers also might have done those kind of things too. So it's really important to understand a choice, an inspired decision, or a fog decision, because there are three different buckets of what's going on. And the more that you understand this, the more you're going to be able to lead people to make inspired decisions and create transformations. So why are your clients ghosting you? So who can guess? Why don't you follow through? Or why don't your clients follow through? Why do people procrastinate or stay in a state of indecision? Who can guess? You're right. You're right. They're making choices instead of decisions, true committed decisions. Now, for your notes, if you have your notes and you're taking notes, you really want to write this down, because this is going to help you with your leading your people and getting buy-in. It's also going to help you remember what kind of information you want to draw from the client, so that you know if you are talking to someone who's ready to make a committed decision. And you'll also know if they're not ready to make that committed decision, maybe what's missing in your sales presentation that needs to be worked on, and put the mastery of the time in on your sales presentation until it's mastered. So I'm seeing a couple comments here, but the reason that I put up this picture of a mast, which is for a ship, is that when we choose a direction, think of a ship sailing, the mast is the thing that we need to put the sail up on, right? And so mast is a 4-letter acronym that you can use to remember what needs to be present for a customer to say yes. What do you need to uncover? So the M is for motive. No one ever buys anything without a motive. So you need to know what a customer wants, number one, but the motive part is asking, why is that important to you? So you want to uncover the motive. The second thing is that you need to spur the customer into action. That's the A. So when you speak and you're doing your sales presentation, what you want to really be focused on is the emotions that you want to evoke from your client that will get them into taking action. And the more action that you can get them to commit to as you're going through your presentation, that's called the path of agreement. Then, and the more you're focused on what I call, perceived value and things that get them emotionally charged about their transformation, the more you're going to be able to engage them to take action. The S is the sacrifice. We all need to realize that there is going to be an exchange if you come to an agreement and you earn a sale, and something will be sacrificed. That could be in the form of cash. It could be in the form of a collaboration. There's different things, but there's going to be an exchange, and something's going to get sacrificed for the law of vacuum prosperity to make space for the new thing. Whereas in the Bible, it says that you never put new wine in the old wineskins. So you have to make space. So there will be a sacrifice of something maybe of a lesser value to get something of a higher value. And that's going to tell you, like, how well did I build a value proposition, so that if they're buying something from me, what they're exchanging is way less than what I'm giving them in value. And so of course it's going to be an easier exchange for them, because they see the perceived value for them, and it's easy to say yes to. And then the last thing, the T, is so you've got motive, action, sacrifice, and Oh boy. Sorry, I just froze. Sacrifice and um oh my goodness, I apologize. Motive, action, sacrifice, and uh I'm coming back to that. I'm coming back to that. Why now? If you, oh, I know why. The last one is the most important thing. Trust. That's what we're talking about. So the T is the trust. No one is ever going to buy or getting into an agreement without trust. And what we just talked about is the difference between decisions and choices. And the trust is paramount for for you to have that ability to get the client to know, like, and trust you, because no interactions are going to happen without the trust. Now let's look at the next question is, what are the 3 fundamental reasons people do not buy? Anybody know those? All right, so one is if there's not a need for your product, in it, or the product just doesn't fit. Like if I'm shopping for shoes, women high-heeled shoes, I'm not going to buy a men's loafer size 12 shoe. So, you have to have a product match there, a need for what you have. So you can ask yourself, 2 good questions to ask yourself all the time are who am I serving, and how am I serving that person? And figuring out where those people are that need your service. But the second reason is they don't trust you. And then the third reason is they don't trust themselves. And what did we talk about in the very beginning that causes the best trust ladder? Trust, right? Decisions, making true committed decisions elevates people's trust, because those decisions are made with integrity, and you hold a bond, a covenant to yourself, and you hold your word, and your word is your bond. And you'd rather, die than not keep your word. That kind of trust is solid trust for making a sale. Now, if you're coming into a sale and you haven't gotten it, you have to ask yourself, why don't people trust themselves, you included? And where does confidence come from? Confidence comes from the fidelity of your word. So confide means with fidelity, right? And so when your word, your trust ladder is strong, and you keep your word to yourself, and you keep your own commitments, and you walk into a room, you're going to be able to give someone that same trust, and they'll be able to pick it up when you walk in the room, because people sense when people have confidence, and confidence creates trust. But if you or your team have not been making decisions or following through and making a lot of choices, and they think they're making decisions, but they're not, and that trust and that integrity is not there, then you're not going to be able to give to your customers what you don't have. So if they don't trust themselves, and you walk in and you don't have any trust, and they can't see your confidence, they're not going to buy. So if you've had that situation ever, I'd seriously like you to give you the gift to consider the possibility that, what kind of decisions have I been putting off or waffling on, and make a decision today to make a decision. Because the sooner that you start flipping from choices and start making decisions, the more your confidence is going to rise. The more your confidence is going to rise, the higher level of trust that people are going to perceive when they interact with you. And if your customers don't have trust in themselves, you can let them borrow the trust you have, and believe in them, and trust, and allow them to walk across your bridge of trust until they build their own, knowing that they're making a really good decision, inspired decision for themselves. And that's part of the gift and the promise that you can share with your clients. But it's critical that you understand what I'm saying or think about it, because if people, when you show up, people don't perceive what they see on the physical appearances that you showed up, you shook the hand or whatever. What they see and they can feel is whether you have congruence and belief in yourself and you trust yourself. And the reason that most people don't trust yourself, if you go back to the question, why don't people trust themselves? It's because they've heard the lie that they've told themselves many times, because they'll make a choice, or they'll make an empty promise to someone and not keep it. And so what they psychologically that does to you is it says, I can't trust myself. And then that fact that you don't have any trust when you walk in the room and you're supposed to be the trusted advisor, there that energy is going to repel them away. They won't tell you that, but they're doing it because they can feel it. So it's paramount that anybody in a leadership role and in a sales role learns to develop that integrity and that word bond and covenant with themselves to keep their word, because once you do, you're going to start to trust yourself. You'll bet on yourself. Even when you get into situations of uncertainty, that decision-making ability is one of your strongest assets. And you can't give somebody what you don't have. So what I encourage you to think about today, if your sales have been stuck and your if things haven't been moving, the first part of the sales process that we can look to improve is the trust building process. And if we show up, if we have been making a lot of choices, if we've been doing a lot of waffling, if we've been asking everybody else what to do because we don't trust ourselves, that's a signal that that's a true decision problem to build trust. And so what you can do today is think about, what have I been doing? Have I been making choices? Have I been making empty promises? Or am I making decisions with integrity and doing what I'm going to do, and choose the one that's going to give you the greatest sales and leadership success, which I certainly believe is to start making true committed decisions with integrity, deciding on a path forward and a direction you're going to go and sticking to it. Now, the title of today's talk is framing for influence. And who in here would like to have even more influence and grow and expand their influence? Give me a yes in the chat. So come on, give me some action here. So yes. All right. So what we're going to talk about today is what I call the invisible force that is either repelling things away from you that you want or bringing them towards you. And the reason for that is because we do not get what we want, we get what we expect or believe. And if you want to write that down, that's something I live by and remind myself often of, because it's the truth. We always are getting what we expect. So now you could say there's not true. Sometimes we're getting things that we did not expect, like a disruption. Okay, that's true, but that might be for a different reason. That might be, and that's a different, that's attend my Master the Shift webinar to understand that. But if you're being truly honest with yourself and you're looking at what is, and you're determining that, everything's bleak, you're getting exactly what you expect. Now, this invisible force has to do with belief, and belief is transformation power. So let's talk about what a frame is and how it's affecting your results, and take it out of the invisible and make it very visible to your conscious mind, so that you can do something about it. So the frame is basically how we experience our lives in the world. Frames create focus, and focus is where our attention goes. And where your attention goes, your energy flows. If you've read my book, The Spirit of Selling, there's a whole chapter on that topic. It's got the finger pointing. I believe it's chapter 6. But the frame is basically how all of us as human beings, that's why you can experience life. That's why you can have two people on the same sales team or two people in your groups, and one's doing great, they both have the same manager, and one's doing great and the other one's struggling. It's not any of the external things. It's each person is experiencing the frame and looking at life a certain way, and that's creating their reality. It creates your reality because all of us are experiencing life through a frame. So what's a frame? A frame is basically, on our physical side, we're like a quarter, right? So you have two sides. You have the spiritual side of you and the physical side of you. And so you have two sets of eyes. You have your insight, which is the spiritual eyes, and your intuition, which are your spiritual ears. And you have your physical eyes, and your physical ears, and your other senses of smell and taste and touch and all that. And so on the physical side, when we experience the adventure that we're going through, we frame things, and we either put a belief about the thing we see in a frame of influence. In other words, we say, okay, that's great, I'm going to be able to influence something and get what I want. Or we say, oh no, the sky's falling, I'm not going to be able to get what I want. They're both things are beliefs. So faith is a belief and doubt's a belief. Sometimes people get that mixed up and they think the only belief is faith. No, that's not true. Faith is believing in something, believing in the fact that you can get what you want. Doubt is believing that you cannot get what you want, plain and simple. And so what you're seeing in your frame of the way you view the world is a picture, and it's charged spiritually with what you're paying attention to. So you're either paying attention to the positive pole or the negative pole of what's going on. They're both there. They both can be right technically, because duality exists in everything. We've got the law of polarity, but you basically put a frame, you focus your attention on something, which is either how you can get what you want and what can be, or why you're not going to get what you want. So that's the difference between faith and doubt, and that's how everyone is experiencing it. You experience it that way. All your customers, your kids, your relatives, everybody you know on the planet is experiencing life through a frame. And that perception, that the way, whether we choose to look at it through the positive lens of faith, on belief in what's not, both of them are belief in, belief in what can be and what's in store for you. Or you can have a belief in doubt negatively, that's going to create a feeling. So what are the two feelings that these two beliefs create? Real simple. Faith creates anticipation. Think Christmas. But I mean, at our house when we were growing up, we had two kids' rooms, and at Christmas Eve, Dad and Mom would say, "You guys got to go to bed early," which was of all nights that we've got to go to bed early. And my two brothers, Randy and Bernie, had a room next to me, and I had a room, and there used to be like a vent, and we'd get down on our knees and we talk to each other about, what do you think we're getting? And, oh, this is what I asked Santa Claus for, or whatever. And we had so much energy to release because we had pure anticipation of what it was going to be like in the morning. And we were just focused on the joy of the next day. We couldn't get ourselves to sleep. That's because we were releasing energy, right? So anticipation is the feeling we get when the picture that we're looking at is joy. Okay. Now, the other feeling that happens in that image, and we're thinking, you're picturing, what's in the boxes, or you're driving the bike with your friends the next day, life is going to be grand. You're thinking about what can be, right? That's anticipation. The other feeling that you get when you have doubt is you're thinking about, oh no, I'm not going to be able to get what I want because of fill in the blank. So your attention went to what's lacking, why you can't instead of why you can. And what that does is just totally constricts your energy, and it gives you a feeling of anxiety, because we all want to be able to influence our destiny and be able to figure out a way to get what we want. And I'm not talking about just, trying to get to be greedy. I'm just saying the things that bring us joy. We all want to experience joy. But if we think we're not going to have that joy, what that frame tells us is our focus is focused on what's missing, what's lacking. And that is going to constrict and suppress energy. And the more that we hold that energy back, and we don't want to express ourselves, causes more and more anxiety, because energy is meant to move. It's not meant to be suppressed and held back. It's like cutting, having a pressure on a hose with a kink in it. And, the minute that you let it, if that kink can ever get out, the energy is going to go flying. So that feeling you have creates either one of two things. You're going to have lots of energy to release, and so your physical body is going to be full of movement, and you're going to feel like get up and go. Or your energy is going to be get up and gone because you're disempowered because you have so much anxiety. Now, you can think of it another way of saying the same thing that I was just saying: focus on lack or focus on abundance, focus on what is or what can be. You're either focused on the payout or the pain of what is, or the payoff from the pain of what it is, or what you might have to let go of. And here's the thing: if we understand, especially in sales, we just understood the block about trust, and that our trust and decision making is affecting the trust that our customers are having with us, or the people we're leading are having with us. And the way to fix and address that is to make more committed decisions instead of choices and empty promises. That's a fix on the front end. The middle end is this attitude, because if you realize that attitude is your energy force, it's a combination of your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. And you have the ability to master your attitude if you make a decision today that you're going to start focusing on faith instead of doubt. The facts of what happens will not matter. I promise you that, because duality, that's universal laws everywhere. So that's the good news. But your attitude is going to affect your sales and your ability to lead yourself and lead others by what you're putting in that frame. And you're either framing things that you're experiencing in life through the lens of faith or through the lens of doubt, through the lens of payoff and investment and what can be, or the lens of payout. So, what it's going to cost you short term instead of the payoff that you can get from that investment long term. So here's the deal. And I hope you get this. I really, really hope you get this. Change is inevitable. There's nothing that you're going to be able to do to stop change. But the question is, are you going to work with it inside out or outside in? Because here's what's going to happen. If you make a commitment and you believe what I just told you about the frame, and that the frame is a key to your influence power, and you want to increase that, you take the power back. You grab that lightsaber and you say, you're going to start being in control of your results. You're going to start thinking, determining the glasses that you're going to put on and what you're going to focus on. And if you do that and you're thinking about what can be, and you're originating those ideas and you're dreaming, you've got a direction to go forward, and you're getting emotionally involved with a vision connected to a purpose, and you're vision casting it as a leader, and you're getting in touch with the vision of what your customer really wants, and you're vision casting that with your client, all of a sudden you're going to get emotionally involved. They're going to be emotionally involved. You're going to have an emotional composite, a mastermind. You're going to be in a state of harmony with the people that you're trying to lead, including yourself, and you're going to create new results, which is what a transformation is. However, if you do not take that charge of that lightsaber and learn how to weave it and use it like Luke Skywalker did, the results will stay in control of you, because you've been in a habit of the way that you've either been making decisions or choices, and you've been in a habit of the way you're viewing your world. You're either viewing it habitually more on faith or more through the lens of doubt. And you can answer that question. But if you don't change, you'll continually be affected and stressed by the results being in what's going on outside of you controlling you, because the problem is when your lightsaber is pointed in the wrong direction, it's pointed on what is today, which is a result of yesterday's thinking and action. So you're looking at everything in reverse by what is, and then that you're getting emotionally involved with that, and it's going to control you and hold you in the chains of the cycle of the hamster wheel. So attitude and the focus in the frame and mastering that attitude, if you master your attitude, the facts won't matter anymore. And that is the difference between the people that are the professionals versus the amateurs, is they have that awareness. And I really, really hope that this is starting to click for you. Now think about it. What I said is these are both beliefs. You can look at anything in a frame through the belief of faith or through the belief of doubt. And beliefs, how they work and how they keep you stuck, unless you reevaluate things and you decide that you're going to make a change, is that beliefs are nothing more than an idea we accept as true at any particular time. When you're born as a baby, you don't have any beliefs, but your subconscious mind is wide open, and whatever you're hearing in your environment's going in through repetition, like your name. Like, my mom and dad probably said, Rhonda, 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 probably, 5,000 times. And then eventually I knew that was my name. So your beliefs come from space-based repetition. And those beliefs cause your focus in the frame. And then it causes wherever your focus and attention goes, causes a thought, which causes a picture, in that picture is the perception of either I'm getting what I want or I'm not. I'm in anticipation or anxiety. And then that results in whether you move or you don't move in terms of your body. And if your behaviors are creating your results, if behaviors don't change, the results can't change. So the only way that you can break that cycle is to make a decision that you're going to move forward, focus in a different direction, build that faith muscle in your beliefs, the frame of faith in your beliefs instead of the frame of doubt. Now, just to really put this all through in picture form to make sure nobody misses it, what we just talked about is the first thing that we do as humans with our physical eyes and ears is that we experience reality through a frame. So the frame right over here is basically what we focus on. And what we focus on either has a spiritual positive charge of faith or a negative charge of doubt. Because that picture, what happens is we see in pictures, we don't see in thoughts or, in words that we speak or word to ourselves or anyone else. We're always seeing things in pictures. For those of you who haven't heard this before, like if I say, the front door on your house, bingo, everybody's going to get the front door on their house. If I say, what car you drive, you're gonna see the picture of your car. If I say, does your refrigerator door open from the right or the left, you're gonna look at your refrigerator and answer the question. So you're always seeing images in your mind. And what happens is, as soon as that image is created, it shoots over a feeling from the image. The image either is a picture of anticipation or a picture of anxiety. And this right here in the middle, this is what Bob Proctor taught me about the stick man. This is a picture of how your triune being of your spirit, your body, and your mind, right? You're a spiritual being having a physical experience with access to a universal mind. So this picture of the stick man basically is showing you that you have a conscious mind where you do all your thinking, and you have a subconscious mind at the bottom here, which is where your heart, your triune being of soul, your soul, body, mind, and soul converges, and that is an electromagnetism magnet. And basically what it does is whatever rolls down from the pictures that you create from your thoughts rolls into your heart, and it either causes anxiety, which suppresses and renders your movement powerless, or it causes anticipation, which gets people empowered. Your sales presentations to customers, you use words, and those words are either going to inspire anticipation, like this is really great and cool, or it's going to, if you're coming in and you have anxiety, you're going to transfer the anxiety to them, and you're both going to be rendered powerless and not have movement. So if you really get this, you'll start to understand why momentum, like what causes momentum. Focus on joy, focus on anticipation for yourself and your clients. What causes momentum to stop and entropy to get in and the weeds to grow? It's when the thoughts that you're thinking are focused constantly on what is, and you're not thinking about anything about what can be and why you can. So what's the difference between the people that no matter what happens seem to have limitless abundance in their life and the people who struggle? It's a discipline of the way that they decide that they're going to see the world. The people that the leaders, the biggest leaders in the world, will always focus on outcome, not the obstacle. They'll focus on intention, not the how it's going to get done, but the end result. You're focused on the end. Even if you're in the middle of in the law of advancement, it says everything has to go down before it goes up. Sometimes when you're down in the valley of what you might think is despair, you have to realize that you have to be more focused on joy of the outcome that you're trying to get to, and see through the physical eyes to the insight of what can be. And instead of looking at things where your focus is myopic and you've got the existing obstacles in your way, that you've got to be able to look through the obstacles to the insight that you have, the aim of where you're going, which is your intention. And the people that have this limitless abundance, that seem to never be struggling in their sales and they're always doing well, is because they're focused on the outcome, not the obstacles. They're always focused on that. And number two is that they eliminate distractions. They're disciplined to not, be tied up in scrolling all day or all the different kinds of distractions that come at it. People are getting distractions all over the place today, but it's always when those that are grounded in intention that are able to master that attitude, keep making decisions and holding their word and keeping their bond is an honor. And by doing that, they're able to, create belief and confidence in themselves. And then they have that conviction. And when that conviction, confidence, and attitude shows up, and you've got that kind of trust because your confidence is there for the trust. You've got the attitude because you're disciplining yourself on how you're going to use your frame, or the Luke Skywalker laser. And then you've got conviction, because you're connected to a purpose that's bigger than you. You're out there serving and doing your purpose, and you're thinking about the intention of impact. Nothing's going to get in your way. And that's what creates success in selling and leading. It's like getting those three components: trust, the attitude, and the conviction. And when you've got that combo, that triple, it's a triple threat to, and I guess your, people around you, but that triple threat is strong. It's going to keep you from distractions, and it's going to be able to help you soar and have limitless abundance, because that's what you focus on, is more of the abundance and the lack. You got to remember that we're all speaking the law of vibration. More than 80% of all the communication that you do with yourself or with other people is nonverbal. And so remember that all the words that you're saying, the gestures, the writings that you're doing, they're either empowering your clients with inspiration and anticipation, or they're disempowering them with anxiety. And we own that, and we decide we're going to be masters at leading and selling, and we're going to take control of the reins and take our power back and get practiced on how to use the frame to influence by what we focus on. Man, look out, the sky's the limit. Because people don't have a belief problem. Everyone has beliefs. they have an expectation problem. And you get what you expect. But if you start by building your confidence and trusting yourself and keeping your word to yourself, then you can give that to others, and you start putting your faith to work instead of going in the wrong direction of doubt and getting tied up in what I'll call, a not disease about what you're not. The unseen force is the frame. Let the force be with you. The frame matters. Frames create the focus. That focus creates the feeling. The feelings drive your behavior, whether you're going to get momentum or not, whether you're going to get movement in your funnel or not. And you have the power with that laser, that saber, to either decide whether you're going to use it, to run on the dark side like Darth Vader, or for good like Luke Skywalker. And you can frame it with abundance, in a belief, a frame of faith, or in a frame of doubt. And you get to choose the charge. So take your power back. Start using that force to work for you. Start remembering that energy is like a pole, right? You have duality and polarity and everything. If you focus on the anticipation, the abundance, what you're going to do is expand energy. It's a lighter energy that everyone wants to be around, and you're going to attract all kinds of possibilities. Your creativity, which we're going to need in this next era as we move into this intelligent age, is going to demand, we're going to have a lot of the mundane tasks out of the way, but the creativity can just explode if you're focused on the right end of the spectrum, the anticipation. If you go down to the lack and what's missing, you're going to make the same mistake that Adam and Eve did in the Garden of Eden, right? What did Satan do? The snake says, hey, you're not allowed to eat from the trees. And Eve goes, well, yes, we are. We can eat from all the trees except for one. What did he do? He drew the focus right to what the lack is and had them to have their attention on lack. And that's how they went in the wrong direction. And in the whole thing, they lost the abundance that they had. Because anxiety and stress constricts and it drains. So get rid of the drain and instead focus on the gain. The drain is unsustainable. It's sucking your energy out. And if you want to have more energy and have a lot more fun at work, this is the way that it can happen. So I'm going to leave you today with a question and tell you that it's time, because the world needs your leadership right now. It's time to climb your trust ladder. And what decision will you honor today? I want to ask you some questions. Will you make a covenant with yourself for your honor, that your word is your bond? Will you never make a decision again in the fog, in the dark, fear, obligation, and guilt? Will you start focusing on what can be, focusing forward? Will you set an intention in your own autonomy to connect into your purpose and decide what you're going to give your attention to with that, and focus on that outcome, and refuse to focus on the obstacles? Will you remind yourself that you're not a victim of the past? That mentality is not going to help you. Instead, you are a product of what happened to you. Everything that we go through we always have to go through something or go through a valley to get to where we want to go. And that it's when we go in the valley and we choose faith, that faith becomes even stronger. And that's what really drives your confidence even to a whole new height, because now you're going to bring more and more of your potential to the service. You're going to have more to give to all the people that you're here to serve. And the more that you pour out your heart and you connect with people and you give, the more it's going to come back to you. But the best part of it is when you're on purpose and you're aligned with your values and you're grounded in universal laws, you are going to experience abundance for sure. But the bigger gift is the fulfillment. Because when you do the 3 C's, when you're creating, when you're contributing, and when you're connecting with others in powerful ways to enable them to do the same transformations that you're having, you're going to have a heck of a lot of fun. Will you ask yourself seriously today, what is your purpose? Who are you here to help, and how are you going to help them? And really connect into that, because that purpose is the thing that helps you kick into that second gear that you didn't even know you had when those struggles get rough. Will you decide to turn everything, even when you look to your past, turn everything in your past into a catalyst for your current situation moving forward, by recognizing how that pain, or that whatever that incident, everybody's has pain, everybody goes through struggles, whatever that was, will you look at it through the lens of faith and see how that built your strength, how that built your faith, how that is a gift for what you're being called to do today, and refuse to look at what's wrong with it, because there's nothing bad about the present. There can never be anything bad about the present, because you're living, you're not dead, right? So it's time to climb your trust ladder. So what decision will you honor today? Remember I'll leave you with this. Remember, no strength ever came without a struggle. It just doesn't. There's no advancement without adversity. And in every adversity, there's a seed of opportunity awaiting you to plant. There's no destiny without difficulty. And you always have to go through something to get something. And all the meanings in these frames, we get to make up along the way. So why not make up something that's going to empower you and support you to go forward? Pick a direction and move. And the more that you move, the more you're going to inspire the people around you to move. And together we can help do what we came to the marketplace to do, and transform and change the world for the better, and create all kinds of harmony in the process. So with that, just to sum up, the key to influence, the true key to influence, really is the frame. It's that lightsaber. It's where you're going to direct your attention and where you're going to channel your energy. And so I would encourage you, hopefully this inspired you today to get excited about the things that you can start doing to make impact and start creating momentum for yourself, and live and sell from that inspired state where you're helping people do what they want to do, helping people make inspired decisions that elevate their confidence. Because if they start making decisions that are working out for them, and you do your best in leading people to help make those decisions, you're giving them a gift that's just gold. It's called confidence. Empower your clients to have the same confidence. Make your decisions with integrity and help your clients do the same. The answer is always joy. If the whole key to that lightsaber is joyful anticipation of the outcome you desire, instead of anxious apprehension about the outcome you don't desire. Think of Christ going up Calvary Hill. For, what was he focused? As painful as that experience was, if he wasn't focused on that, and he was saying things like, "Forgive them, Father, they know what he was focused on was where he was going that day, and the anticipation of being reunited with the Lord." And that's it. And if that picture alone can help you, he was showing us that's the answer. The answer is joy. Put the focus, get that lightsaber, frame everything around anticipation and your joy, and everything will start flowing and opening up for you and your clients. So at this point, I'll take any questions if I have them from the audience. And I want to thank you immensely for joining me here today. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did sharing this information with you. We just rebranded our website. So we've moved from 3x5 Coaching now to rhondapetite.com. All kinds of goodies and information on there around mastering transitions, sales shifts like this, getting your people trained around how they're framing things in their sales presentation, and leadership shift around transformational leadership, the stuff that makes the world transform into a better place, not transactional leadership. So go ahead and check that out. And I hope to talk to you soon. Have a wonderful day. God bless.